Welcome. This is the Ag Engineering Podcast, where we talk tools, tips, and techniques to improve the sustainability of your farm. I am your host, Andy Chamberlain from the University of Vermont Extension, and this podcast is supported by Northeast SARE, providing grants and education to advance innovation in sustainable agriculture. We're trying to improve the industry by chatting with farmers and getting their input on tools, tips, or techniques that have changed the way they farm for good. Many of these practices affect multiple areas of the farm. Whether it be environmentally, emotionally, physically, or financially, we share the knowledge to promote sustainable agriculture, lifestyle, and business. Thanks for having a listen. Now, let's get started. Today's episode comes from Shoreham, Vermont, where we talk with Pauline Stevens from Golden Russet Farm. She grew up on the farm, but has been full-time there the last 2 years. They grow 8 to 10 acres of vegetables with an emphasis on fall crops, including roots and brassicas. They also have 2 hoop houses for cut flowers, and they're growing in the climate zone 5. Their markets are mostly wholesale to co-ops and local grocers, a few restaurants, a small CSA, and some bedding plants on the farm. Their sales range is between $200,000 and $400,000. Pauline, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Andy. It's great to join you.
So if you could just describe what you do in one sentence, what would you say?
We are a family-run organic vegetable and cut flower farm in Addison County.
Well, today we wanted to talk a little bit about how you're selling during these pandemic times. It's definitely not how you expected your spring to go, but you're making sales. So we wanted to talk about that and how you're finding success in these weird times.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a little bit of a wild ride and seems to be changing day by day. But we basically realized back in March, as we were starting up our greenhouses and things were starting to really change, that people were super eager to get out in their gardens. And we, as a on-farm bedding plant business, realized that we had a lot of products that people were eager to have, which include seeds, seed potatoes, potting soil, all of that. So normally when we open up in the last week in April, we realized we could actually start selling things earlier. So it kind of kicked us into gear to start coming up with plans to, make those products available in a safe and slightly efficient way. So that's how I've been spending most of my spring so far.
What do you say was one of the challenging things in order to start this pivot?
A big challenge was it seemed hard to really figure out exactly what we could and couldn't do. So normally, customers come to the farm, just get out of their car, come into the greenhouses, shop around. They come into our barn, we check them out, they go home. So all of a sudden we had to figure out how can we do that with little to no contact. And it seemed that different regulations were changing, if not weekly, daily. So kind of making sure we were keeping up with all of those changes was definitely a big challenge because, it's our responsibility as a business to make sure we are really being as careful and safe and following all the guidelines. So honestly, I feel like keeping up with all of that has definitely been a lot of work and a big challenge. And then the other challenge, of course, is just how to actually get the products to the customers, like how to set up those systems. Both of those.
So are you still delivering to the local grocers and wholesalers, or is this primarily talking about your cut flowers and or your potted plants early this spring?
So we sold our last fall crops actually on, I believe it was April 2nd. So thankfully we haven't, we had fall crops for a long time, storage crops for a while. And then thankfully we haven't had to also deliver during this time because it's just taken up so much time to figure out how to sell the bedding plants on the farm. So yeah, we stopped deliveries around the beginning of April, and then basically that same week switched over to starting to sell, supplies and seeds for home gardeners.
Were your customers appreciative? I know there was a little bit of it was kind of difficult for homeowners to get seeds. Were you a shining star in that you had some, or was that not really a thing?
Definitely. So we sell Johnny selected seeds at the farm. We have for many years. And we started getting calls in early April asking for them, along with we sell seed potatoes as well. There's not too many other organic seed potato options around us. So, we have a really strong customer base and people definitely seek us out in a normal year for that. But this year we heard from a lot of, other people as well who weren't necessarily customers who, heard through the grapevine that we might have it. And I just did a inventory yesterday, and I think we actually only have 6 varieties left of seeds. And for seed potatoes, we have 3 specialty fingerling varieties left, and that's it. So yeah, they've been selling really, really well. And that was all pretty much through curbside pickup. We were able to sell all of those.
Well, I think you made the right decision to stock up on your seeds for that this spring.
Definitely.
How have customers' perceptions of buying plants been affected by picking up a plant that they aren't allowed to see first?
That's a good question. It's definitely a range. We have a lot of customers who I'd say most of the people who've come to shop so far this year have been really our core customers and people who are pretty serious gardeners. So they really know what they want to grow every year. And of course, they love to see what's new and different every year. But overall, they know right now that they're probably going to want tomatoes, they're probably going to want peppers, all of those things. So they are able to, view the Google Docs that I've created basically, and been able to communicate to us what they want and, really lock in and get those plants early, even though they know they're going to have to harden them off. And potentially hold on to them for a little while longer until they can actually get them in the ground. But I think the big challenge is with flowers, of course, because you want to know what it looks like. And generally, I think flowers are definitely much more of I would say for many people at least, more of an impulse buy because you see it, it looks beautiful, you want it at your house. And during so far this spring at least, that's been pretty challenging. Since we've switched over to appointment shopping, that's obviously really helped with flower sales. So that's been good.
So when somebody signs up for an appointment, can they come then walk through the high tunnel?
Yeah, so we've kind of had 2 systems. So when we started in early April, basically what I was doing was creating on Google Sheets. I was creating what we were calling our current inventory list, which was basically a list of all the items that we had available in real time. So that included, seed potatoes, like I said, Johnny seeds. We sell Vermont Compost Company, potting soil and compost. We have natural, mulch, cedar bark mulch. We have ProGrow, all those supplies. So originally it just kind of had those items. And then we slowly started adding in more plants as they became more available. So at that point, people were reviewing the current inventory list, seeing what we had, seeing what they wanted, and then placing an order through a Google form that I'd set up, which was then, funneling all the information directly into a Google sheet that then I was using different filters on to basically see what orders were going out, that day, that week. All of that. So, and at that point, what we were doing is pulling the orders, kind of setting them aside in a safe area of our greenhouse. And then the day that the orders were going to be picked up, I, was in touch with the customer either over the phone or via email to set up a time for them to come. So I was kind of spacing out all those times throughout the day to make sure that there were never too many cars at the farm at any given time. And then putting all of their products out onto, we have little, carts, and putting it on carts for them with well labeled. And then either they were paying in advance by credit card over the phone, or by pay. I had set up a PayPal account for us so they could pay if they prefer online, or they were leaving a check off when they got to the farm. So I was having to do all the math and everything well in advance of them arriving so that they knew what their total was. So, we were doing that for, I think this is our 4th week of doing that. And then God, I can't even keep track of time, but maybe 10 days ago, whenever Governor Scott announced that garden centers and nurseries were able to open up their facilities to up to 10 people at a time, all of a sudden we realized, okay, how can we get some people here in some capacity, just because, we have so many plants. Basically, we just have to get some of these plants sold. And we were hearing from so many customers who were just so eager to be able to walk through the greenhouses. So a friend of mine had told me about Sign Up Genius, which has been a super helpful platform where basically you can upload a selection of time slots that you want people to sign up for, and you can set how many people you want to sign up for each slot, and then basically send out that link, and customers can just, click on the time they want, type in their name, email address, phone number, and then we're able to download a list of all the people who are coming, during that day or during that week or whatever it is. So we launched that on Friday night, Friday night, and then started it the next morning. So we did a 5-day trial run on that, and the 5 days completely filled up. I think we have maybe 1 or 2 slots for today and tomorrow. But other than that, it totally filled up, which was amazing to see. And all the customers who've come, have been so grateful to be able to spend some time in the warm greenhouses and see a little bit of color. But when they show up, basically we're requiring every customer, they have to wear gloves, they have to wear a face mask. We're asking that they only touch the items that they are intending on purchasing. They're allowed to bring one person with them. So, whether it's their partner or spouse or a friend, they're allowed to bring one other person with them, just because we know that shopping at the farm is definitely a social experience for us. So as long as it's someone that they are, already, obviously we don't want this to be a place for people to meet up. But if it's, someone from their household, basically, they can do that. We are allowing it. And all the time slots are 1-hour slots. So we, are asking people to be punctual and, have checked out by the time their hour's up, just so that there isn't like a bottleneck during that transition time. And it seemed to work out really well over the weekend. It was enough time for people to really be able to go through the greenhouses and check things out. It's still so early in the season. So I think a lot of people were making purchases, but also kind of keeping a list to scope out what we have, so that, in a couple of weeks or when things get a little warmer, they'll be able to come back and get the rest of what they're going to want for their gardens this year.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It's been great.
Have cars been lining up on the hour?
So how we did it is we kind of staggered it. So we've had 1-hour time slots, but we're releasing another one every half hour. So for example, it starts at 10 a.m. Someone can be there from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then the next slot goes from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And so there's a little bit of overlap, so that there could be, 4 people there at the same time. And so it's been pretty good. People, I think when they first get to the farm, we put up a big poster that says kind of the, guidelines and rules, like wearing a mask and all of that. And so people kind of paused when they arrived just to make sure, are we doing everything right? And, reading over the
Right.
rules and all that, and are definitely very cautious, which is great. So then we go out and, yeah, come on in. So, and then can we go into the greenhouse? And yeah, you can go into the greenhouse. And
Yes.
so it's, people are very cautious because I think everyone's just, which is great. And that's how it should be. And, what we've really seen is normally we're open 7 days a week in a normal year this time of year. So people, 9 to 5 every day. And usually our weekends, we're just slammed. Like people are there, the whole day. And right now, I mean, as the term that everyone keeps using, is we're definitely flattening the curve. So we, like yesterday, our Monday was just as busy as our Saturday was, because we've been able to basically spread people out throughout the day. So that has been awesome. And I think with people, not having regular work patterns right now, people have been able to come and shop or browse on a Tuesday when normally they would be at work. So, that's basically allowed this to happen.
Tell me a little bit about Sign Up Genius. Is that easy to use? I mean, it sounds like you set it up Friday night and launched it Saturday. That seems like a wild ride.
Yeah, it really has been. Yeah, so one of my friends had told me about it, like a couple, kind of right when this was starting to happen, actually. He's like, well, you could consider doing something like this, because I had told him about when I was doing all the curbside, because we didn't have an e-com site set up or anything. The way I was doing it through Google Forms, it was just leading to so much back and forth with customers and just taking up so much time. And I realized if we were going to launch some sort of scheduling platform, like it had to be a platform that was pretty hands off. Like I was happy to set up, but then I don't have to do anything else. And it's really been like that. So, again, like what you do is you sign up for and create a sign up is what they call it. And so our sign up is a greenhouse appointment is what we're calling it. And then what you do is you choose which time slots you want to have available. So it has a system where you can, if you want a time slot from 10 to 11, for 7 days in a row, you can do that. And it creates that reoccurring time slot for you. And so I basically went through, and we knew we wanted to do it for 5 days. So I went through and made all the time slots I wanted for those 5 days. And again, you can set limits to how many people can sign up for each time slot. And then you can also set up, which was important for us, just because we knew we assumed this was going to book up, was we only wanted customers to be able to sign up for one time slot within the 5-day range. Just because we didn't want people we have a lot of repeat customers, but within that week, we really wanted as many different people to come and experience the greenhouses as we could. So they have a setting where you can allow customers to only sign up for one slot, within that range. So we did turn that feature on. And then I'm trying to think of what else. You basically publish it and then it becomes a shareable link. And when we were first testing it out, we only sent it out to our newsletter subscribers, because they're really active customers of ours. And we have a good following on Facebook as well. And, we send out ads in the newspaper and other places, but we thought, let's just test it out. We have, around just shy of 500 newsletter subscribers who are very active. Our last newsletter had like a 74% open rate. So
Wow.
it's pretty wild. So we knew people were going to be really excited about it. And sure enough, like pretty much immediately when I sent it, which I knew was not an ideal time to send a newsletter, aka like 7:30 on a Friday night, we like instantly saw, signups start to roll in. And so it's nice. The customer just clicks on the link. They have to type in their name, whatever required fields you want. So for us, we did name, email address, phone number was optional. And then also they could put a comment in if they had a question or anything. And then, it just kind of fills in like a calendar so that we printed it out Saturday morning of all the people who were scheduled to come Saturday, so that then throughout the day, we kind of knew who was coming, knew, when they would be leaving, all of that. So it's my first time using it, but so far so good. So we did that first sign up, which went from Saturday to Wednesday. And then just yesterday, I actually created a second sign up for this upcoming week. So this one will go from Thursday till Wednesday. So it'll include Mother's Day weekend, which is historically a really big weekend for us, of course. So I just sent that out yesterday. So those signups are now starting to come in.
Once you set up one for like a 5-day window, is it pretty easy to basically duplicate that for the next week?
Yeah. So that is a good question. And I think so. After I'd already started building it, I noticed the duplicate button. So I do know that exists, but I haven't used its functionality, to be honest. What is really easy is once you've published it, you can make any changes. So if you want to add more time slots, or you can remove time slots as long as, no one signed up for them. I think you still can't, if a customer calls and is like, oh, I signed up for this slot and I'm actually not going to be able to make it work. They can, cancel, or we can cancel it for them. So I've had to do that a couple times, and that was really easy. But it's also nice that you can change, the language on the sign up, and or the actual time slots themselves once it's already been published. So that is possible. The other thing, you can customize the notification emails that the customers get. So once someone signs up, they get sent, the automated email that says, thanks so much for signing up, yada, yada, yada. And we were able to customize that with kind of the guidelines that we wanted to lay out for the in-person shopping experience. And then also we set up a email that would be sent to them 24 hours before their time slot. So that's basically just a reminder email telling them, you have this appointment coming up tomorrow, looking forward to seeing you. So we were able to customize both of those. There is a free version of it, but I signed up for the 10-day free trial of a more advanced version. And I think we're going to stick with that, which I believe is $10 a month. So it's pretty affordable. And it doesn't have any ads, which is nice. And it has customizable, we were able to upload our own photos from the greenhouse. They have tons of different themes and everything you can use, but, or you can do your own. So I think we're going to go with probably the $10 a month option.
Sounds like a ton of features and a total lifesaver for basically running your business off of it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, since it's the only way we can really be open, it's been huge. And we just yesterday actually linked to the sign up page right on our homepage. So now when customers are calling, because originally we just sent it out to newsletter subscribers. So people who weren't on our newsletter have, heard through the grapevine, I heard my neighbor came out to shop, how can I shop too? And stuff like that. So now we're able to just say, are you able to go to our website? Please, you can sign up there. And it's been really straightforward for the customer. And we've heard from many customers, oh, we use this, it's used by a lot of nonprofits to help coordinate volunteer opportunities. So we've heard from a lot of customers who use it for that purpose. So they were already familiar with it, which is nice.
Have you gotten more subscribers to your mailing list now that they know this is the secret sauce to get into your business?
We have. I got to say, we use MailChimp for our newsletter, and when I came back to the farm 2 years ago, we basically put out a sign up sheet, by our cash register, and people kind of slowly started signing up. And over the last 2 seasons, and it was great. We'd send out maybe, 2 or 3 newsletters during the season, not very many, but just if we had little announcements or something. But all of a sudden this spring, we were like, this, is a really easy way to get in touch with our customers. And we started the first newsletter I sent out this year. It went to 303 people. And the one I sent out yesterday went out to 400 and I think 88 people. So in the last month, we've added about 200 people, which is pretty cool. So I think it is funny. We were joking about it the other day. People are usually so skeptical of newsletters, and now I'm like, well, here's
it's a real good asset right now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's been. the MailChimp has been a great tool for us, and I just can't get over how engaged our customers are with the newsletters. It's pretty amazing.
So now you've got a link on your website, and you originally sent it out via newsletter. Did you get a lot of attention from the Facebook pushes as well?
Yeah, definitely some. I've only shared it once on Facebook. That was, I think, 2 days ago. And we generally have pretty good engagement on Facebook as well. So it did get some traction. I've been trying to kind of space out how I'm doing the promotions just so I can tell, where it might be coming from. And there was definitely a bump after I'd posted about it on Facebook. I'm also going to be, it's going to go out on our Front Porch Forum today as well. So I'm interested in seeing what traction we get from that.
Yeah, cool.
The other thing is it's been interesting because we, normally we advertise in many different newspapers, print newspapers. And, we were talking this spring, should we do a radio ad, which we've done in the past, or just thinking out different options. But all of a sudden now we're realizing, with the current regulations, we can't really have more customers at the farm than what is already happening through these signups. So for now, we're going to kind of just stick to the marketing plan that we're currently doing, because we just really can't have more people come, since our time slots are really filling up, and we literally just can't have more people at the farm than who are already there. So that is just kind of an interesting thing. We're like, we have the plants, we want more people, but we just can't. So maybe if, things get expanded and instead of only having 10 people at the farm, all of a sudden we can have 20, that would look a little different. But that's where we're at right now.
It seems to be working really well for you right now. Is there anything that you wish Sign Up Genius or the way you're doing things would be different? Like, do you wish it had another feature, or has it been good enough for now?
Well, I'd say it's been good enough for now. The one thing is when you actually add in all of the time slots, I wish that was a little faster. There's you have to, hold down the drop down to choose the different time slots. And then also, it doesn't autocorrect between AM and PM and certain things like that. Were just a little clunky, but you just have to pay attention. That was kind of the one thing with the setup. The other thing is how you can regulate if customers can sign up for only one time slot or sign up for many. There's no in between. So in my ideal world, I'd make it so customers could sign up for maybe 2 slots, but there's no in between there. But other than that, no complaints for a pretty much free service. It's been going really well.
Yeah, I think you owe the friend who showed you that a little bit of a bonus there.
Definitely. I think he'll have a hanging basket coming his way.
Yeah. Are you tracking attendance and checking them off when they show up, or just not? being that close?
We're not. So we are asking people as they come in, do you have an appointment? And pretty much everyone who has come since we've launched it has. Last week, we did have some customers show up who, it was before we were doing the appointments and they didn't have a curbside order and they just wanted to come shop. And we did have to turn them away just because at that point we just weren't set up we didn't have guidelines listed anywhere. They weren't wearing masks. They didn't have gloves on. We didn't feel comfortable having people come into the space yet. So, at that point we did turn a few people away, but since we've announced the appointments, pretty much everyone who has come by has either been there for curbside or appointments. And they had signed up. So we are in the process of kind of hoping to phase out the curbside side of things. So obviously we're still going to do it for people who really need it. But we're hoping that it will kind of phase out a little bit. So we've already seen definitely a reduction in orders come through just because people want to actually come and pick out their own products. But so it feels good to kind of phase that out just because it was, kind of a clunky system we'd come up with and took a lot of work. So I'm glad that now people, even if it's a small number of people, I'm glad at least they are able to come into the greenhouses. Like I said, we do print out the sheet, so we generally know who's coming. And like I said, this time of year, we know most of the customers who are coming. So we know they're actually there. But I think we'll see, now that I've launched the next week of appointments, we'll see if more people who we don't really recognize their names or know them, maybe more of those people will start signing up now that it's getting a little warmer. So maybe we will have to start really checking people in. I think we'll see. I mean, thankfully, we've been able to, at all times, we've had under the 10 people that's required. And we're, really need to make sure that it stays that way. So if it comes to taking attendance, then we definitely will.
Oh, that's good. It sounds like it's working
Yeah.
pretty darn well so far.
Yeah.
Like you said, everybody's kind of cautious and not sure what to expect. So
Yeah,
they're proceeding with the unknown.
exactly.
Is there anything else that I didn't ask that you'd like to share about how you're selling in these kind of wild times?
I mean, I think the main thing is we're just really trying to get plants to people because we know how much joy it's bringing them this time of year. So we're so appreciative that people are eager to purchase from us. And, we're definitely doing our best to make it as efficient as possible. And we're thankful that people are kind of bearing with us as we sort out all these new systems, just because it is a huge change from how we do spend our day-to-day lives. So, it's a good opportunity to kind of learn these new systems. And I think there are ways we can maybe implement them into how we do business going forward for sure. But, it is definitely a lot of time and energy has gone into it. So it's just a weird way to spend time when you're used to being outside all the time.
One more thing I just wanted to talk about a little bit before we wrap up was I saw on Instagram you're reusing cardboard flats for carbonated beverages. Can you just talk about that a little bit? Because
Yeah.
everybody loves to reuse and repurpose things.
So that was, I mean, this has been such a blessing this year, actually. So last fall, my mom was doing deliveries to the Middlebury Co-op and was noticing, it was right before Thanksgiving, and we were noticing, the co-op sells so much beer and wine and cider and seltzer and all that stuff, especially during the holiday season. And so we were noticing just these stacks and stacks and stacks of the flat beverage trays that were, they were always bringing more out to their recycling area. And my mom was like, maybe that's something we could use in the greenhouse business, because for the last couple of years, we've been giving out so many of our 1020 trays, just the carrying trays to customers when they come shop. And we were doing the math, and those trays, not only, is there a ton of plastic being used in each one of those, but I think they're about 77 cents each. So they're fairly expensive, and they are not recyclable at most, at least in our local recycling facility. So customers basically get stuck with them and then either have to remember to bring them back to the farm, which many people do, but many people always forget to, or they have to basically throw them out. And so we're like, all right, if we could use cardboard trays, then one, we're, getting them out of the co-op's waste stream, giving them a second life. And then once they go home to the customer's house, they can then just be recycled in their normal home, recycling facility. So, we started collecting them last November, and collected them basically all the way through maybe January or February, and collected, we don't have an exact count, but I think it's around 800 or 900 of them that we stored. We stored them over the winter just upstairs in our shed. So literally it's stacks and stacks and stacks of them. But then so our goal was to kind of come up with this whole plan of, announcing that we were doing it this year, and you can still use the plastic if you'd like, but we were actually going to start charging to use the plastic ones just to help offset that cost and to encourage people to use the cardboard. But then this spring, when we started with curbside, we realized it was perfect because we could write people's names, straight on the boxes, and they could go home with people and, all of that. So it's worked out really, really well for the curbside. And so far with the appointments, it's worked out pretty well. Yesterday, I actually had my first customer who wanted a plastic one because he, for watering. He's like, I'm not going to plant these for a while, and I'm going to have to keep them watered. And so the cardboard just won't hold up, which is totally fair, and it's true. But overall, people have been thankful to actually have the cardboard instead of the plastic. And, something that will just pile up in their garage that they'll probably forget to bring back to us. They can just recycle it, whenever they want. So yeah, that's been fun. It's been, people definitely comment on it when they come to pick up. They're like, yeah, I'll take the Lawson's box, or I'll take the Shaftesbury box, or whatever it is. So it's been good. It's worked out well. Definitely saved us a lot of money on 1020s, and I think the customers are excited about it. So it's been great.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to get a craft beer, case flat full of flowers.
Exactly.
Everybody's kind of proud of that anyways.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been good.
Well, that sounds like a great win. Okay. A real win-win there for both you, the co-op, customer. So nice discovery there, and thanks for sharing.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, this has been a super fun episode, and I think super timely and incredibly helpful for those who haven't heard of something like Sign Up Genius. I didn't. It's totally enlightening, and I think it's awesome in these times, and it totally works for this application. So I appreciate you sharing that and taking the time out of your day to share this with our podcast community. So if people want to follow along with you and see what you're up to, how can they do that?
They can check out our website, which is goldenrussetfarm.com. While they're there, they can sign up for our newsletter, which, as you know, is a great way to see what we're up to in real time. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram at Golden Russet Farm. So those are probably the best ways to follow along.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, and thanks for coming on the show.
No problem. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you learned something today or plan to make a change on your farm, let me know. I'd love to receive any feedback you have. Just click the link in the description to submit the form. It will help the future of this podcast to be a resource that is helpful for you. And while you're at it, I hope you go ahead and subscribe, share this with a friend, or leave a comment. And if you want more information, check out the show notes on our website at agengpodcast.com. That's AGENGPODCAST.com. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a great day.
The proceeding has been a production of University of Vermont Extension. For more information on Extension, log on to www.uvm.edu/extension.